Welcome to 2 cents short of a dollar, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your hosts. That's Motiz. I'm Rue. Back in the building today. We got an exciting fight coming up, I believe next Thursday. Pretty weird date, but nevertheless, I will be there to watch it. Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin De Los Santos. De Los Santos, I guess, probably best known for upsetting Rayo. That would you say that's probably his best win?
Yeah, on short notice, 2 weeks notice, I believe, came
Okay.
in, upset Rail. That I would probably say that's probably what kind of put him on the map, really.
Okay.
At least for me.
Okay, cool.
So
Shakur, I think most of us all know Shakur, but I guess what surprised me in this is, the boxing community is very, very high on Shakur. And I
mhm.
don't think I've seen anyone say that they're picking against Shakur, but usually they're talking about how Shakur is going to wipe people out. And I think a lot of people are saying this one is kind of a tougher fight than people think it is going into the fight. So what's your opinion on this fight here that we got to have next Thursday?
So I went and I actually went back to like watch some footage on De Los Santos, right? Because the Rail fight, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh man, that was a huge upset, right? De Los Santos got dropped and came back, dropped Rail, stopped him. And I started watching like some of his other fights. I know he only has one loss on his record, but that don't necessarily mean you're a terrible fighter, or right? Because record can be inflated. It's a lot of different factors. But when I was watching his fight, he's more skilled than I initially gave him credit for.
Yeah.
Right, southpaw, fairly skilled. He's a boxer puncher. He can crack, right? And I think his power is what is making people think like, all right, Shakur, you're clearly the more skilled fighter, but this guy is not no bum. He has some level of skill and can crack, right? So people are curious about how Shakur will be able to handle that situation, especially for a guy his size too. He's a big fight. He's a big guy. You know what I mean? So him come down to fight at 135, I think this might be Shakur's toughest test to date.
To date, I mean, this is only his second fight at 135. So his toughest fight at 135 or his toughest fight, period?
I think it's going to be his toughest fight, period. I think because his biggest name is Valdez, right? But when you're comparing Valdez,
Jamel Herring as well.
Jamal Herring, right? But in terms of name, Valdez is the biggest name he has on his resume, like by far, right? And then you have Jamal Herring, right? But in terms of like size, intangible skill, all mixed together, I think De Los Santos is going to be his biggest adversary. I'm not going to lie, just based off the footage I've seen of him, I think so. Absolutely.
Biggest adversary, but are you willing to go far enough to say that we have an upset on our hands?
I want to say it's going to be upset, but I do think. No, I would be shocked if he was to upset Shakur. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be very surprised, right? But I won't be surprised if it ends up being like a gritty fight and Shakur ends up pulling through. But my perception of the fight, of course, I think Shakur is gonna outbox him, but I do think it may be a scary moment in the fight. Okay. You know what I mean? I think he can catch Shakur with a clean shot, and Shakur's gonna have to kind of like, okay, wrap him up, try to really engage, and I'm curious to see what approach Shakur is going to take, because Shakur has fought big punchers in the past and he's usually tentative. He doesn't, he fights a boring fight. Like if he knows you can crack and you're a little weird, your style is, he won't push on the gas. You know what I mean? So, but we'll see. I'm really curious to see, because punches are always dangerous, especially boxer punches. They are very dangerous fighters.
Yeah.
What about you? What are your thoughts?
So I was kind of getting swayed by listening to a lot of people, right? It kind of got me on this De Los Santos train, but then I had to take a step back and I had to really assess things. And I think Shakur's going to outbox him. I think he's just going to like purely outbox him. I don't think it'll be as wide as the Yoshino fight.
Absolutely not. Yes.
But I do think...
I don't think it's even going to be as wide as Oscar Valdez, to be honest. Oscar Valdez, he outboxed Oscar Valdez.
Yeah, Oscar... You could barely give Oscar a round. Maybe you gave him a round, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think Shakur is gonna hang in there pretty comfortably. I pick Shakur unanimous decision. I don't think Shakur will stop him. I think unanimous decision, but I do think he's gonna outbox him. I was thinking the same thing you were thinking, scary moment. Yeah, but I don't think it's gonna be one of those I don't think it's gonna be a Floyd Mosley moment.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be that.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be that. So
I
I
don't think
think
it's gonna be
Shakur is
that.
actually gonna outbox him to a comfortable unanimous decision win, and I think he's gonna look to see what's next for him, and I think that's when the fun probably really starts.
Mhm.
Hopefully, but I mean, I want a good fight. I'm not sure we're gonna get as close a fight because I was kind of hyped up too. I'm like, yeah, he did this to Rayo, you know, da 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 da. But Shakur is leagues and bounds ahead of Rayo. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but I do think it's a good test though, because I think who was I saying that Shakur should fight? I think Jermaine Ortiz or something like that. So I definitely respect this fight. I think this is a good fight. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Would I still like him to have the Jermaine Ortiz fight? I would. If he
Yeah,
can't get, you know, I don't think Devin Haney's going to come back down. I don't think Shakur's going to immediately jump up to 140. You know what I mean? So names like this, like De Los Santos, Jermaine Ortiz, is probably the best you're going to probably be able to do, right? We don't know what's happening with Lomachenko. To be honest with you, I think Lomachenko is probably going to try to do like a Crawford in the sense of maybe he fights for one belt, but he
mhm.
might just wait to try to swoop in and fight someone who, you know what I'm saying? I don't think he's going to try to solely collect the belts again. So I'm not sure if we get Shakur Loma unless all the chips are on the line.
Yeah. You know what's
So,
crazy? I actually think I don't know. I feel like I like Loma is definitely gonna eventually fight Shakur. I think it's gonna happen
but
because
how long
135.
though? Only reason I'm saying how long is because
I
we
think it
know.
will happen. I think it will happen before Shakur fights Tank. That's my honest opinion.
Okay,
I
okay,
think so. You know, I think it will happen before Shakur fights Tank. I think Loma will end up fighting. It may not be the next fight, but I can definitely see it happening within the next 3 fights.
gotcha. So let's say Shakur is victorious. What do you see him doing after her? I mean, do you think he's gonna go in there and call out Tank? Do you think he's gonna call out Devin Haney? What do you think he's gonna do?
That's a good question. I mean, Devin Hayes at 140, so I doubt he'll call him out. I wouldn't be surprised if he call out Jermaine Ortiz, right? Because that's a fight that he mentioned that he'll take. I'm not sure if he's looking to only fight southpaws in preparation for a future Tank fight or get, build that foundation, right? I'm not sure. You know, he can probably call Loma out again. I
That's
mean,
probably
that's a
what he's
good
gonna
question.
do.
Yeah, you probably call Loma out again. I think it's just more realistic to have Loma on his hit list before Tank. You know, it just makes all the sense in the world. And then we gotta wait and see what Loma's gonna do, right? Because there are rumors that Loma's gonna fight Kambosos, right? Possibly,
That's
or
weird.
therefore after that, which is weird, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. In the unlikely event that Shakur loses this fight, what do you think that does to him?
Oh man. If Shakur was to really lose this fight, man, he just definitely has to be prepared for the hate, right?
Oh,
Um,
Devin's gonna give it to him.
oh my God, like unload, right? But I also think I would think he has the mental fortitude to kind of just bounce back,
Yeah,
right? Work on his craft and then just come back and just work on a few things. You know, at the end of the day, a loss doesn't define your career, right? In the grand scheme of things, right?
yeah,
So he just has to kind of go back to the drawing board, and I think he'll be back. You know.
yeah.